today we have the beautiful Hayley and Taryn, who are both mums of multiples, and we're so excited to have you on and to listen to your stories.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How did you feel when you found out that you were pregnant with multiples?
Ooh. Well, there's a strong family history of multiples, so when you go into your 7-week scan with a baby bump already, you kind of expect there to be a few more on the screen. And the sonographer first said, yep, 2 babies. My husband and I were like, yeah, over the moon, 2 boobs, 2 hands. And then they said, oh, early days, let's do an internal ultrasound. And my husband spotted it first. I didn't spot it at all. And then he said, oh, look, there's 1 baby in the sack. But when we go to the other sack, there are 2 babies. And I yelled and I swore and I told him to take it back. He can't lie to me and tell me one thing and then change his mind. And I was just unbelievably overwhelmed. And then I broke out crying.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, well, I found out at my 8-week scan. So typical me, I forgot my referral paperwork. So I got to the scan and they wouldn't let me go in. So my partner had to drive home, take a photo of my referral and text it to me. And so I went in alone and I'd had a miscarriage about 4 months earlier. So I was laying there and she wasn't saying anything and there was nothing on the screen and she was taking so long. So I automatically thought, there's no heartbeat. So I was just laying there like trying not to cry, talking to myself, being like, it's okay, you know, we'll get through it. And then after like 5 minutes, I think she was like, so the reason I'm taking so long is because I have to measure 2. And I was like, 2 what? So she was like, 2 babies. And I was like, no. You're going to have to wait for my partner to get back. I'm not finding out this alone. And she was like, oh, okay.
Take it back.
So we were just sitting there for like 5 minutes. So not
Processing? You processing?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my God. And then like Liam flew through the door. He was like, I'm here. And I was like, Bags, I'm telling you.
Oh my God, I haven't heard this story.
Yeah, so she was like, you're having twins. And he started crying.
As in like
happy tears?
I don't know. I think like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then, then I was really calm and I was like, this is fine. Like, this is the card we've been dealt.
You've got this.
Yes. So I got this.
If anyone could do it, it's you.
Thank
You've
you.
got enough energy.
Was this your first baby?
Yes.
Yeah, babies.
Really dived straight in.
Yeah. And for you, was it your first?
No, we had a 16-month-old at
Oh
home.
my gosh.
And we were planning for 2 babies 2 years apart.
Yeah.
So that's why I was extra
Oh.
overwhelmed.
Wow.
My husband walked out the door and he was so excited. He texted all the family, 3 heartbeats. And all of our family thought it was my heartbeat and
twin.
2 babies.
Oh my God.
But then when we got home and we were like, no, actually, 2 babies.
Wow.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my goodness.
Wow. And did you guys feel supported when you told people the news?
My immediate family, yes. And probably because multiples run in the family, they were like, oh yeah, cool, we got this. We'll be there. Friends, it was, a little touch and go with some friends. A lot of people put their negative experiences and how are you ever going to cope and how are you going to do this onto you. But from family, yes, very supported.
Oh, good.
I felt supported. It was just like so many negative comments, like constantly.
Really?
Yeah.
What were people saying? What was
Like,
their reaction?
you know, glad it's you, not me.
Mhm.
And like, oh my God,
Oh.
you're never going to sleep again. And
no.
just, it's non-stop.
Do they have kids? Do they understand what it's like to be
A
a mother? Or did you
I
find
think
it was
both.
right?
Because, you know, mums
Yeah.
that have had one know
Right.
how hard it is.
Yeah.
So they're like, I can't even imagine doing 2. Like,
Yeah.
That was probably what I said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
But it was quite nice. Did you meet any other multiple mums?
Yes,
Well, and
definitely.
They're a lot more
They're
supportive.
so
supportive.
positive.
Yes.
How did you meet other mums with multiples? Was there a group that went around?
Yeah, through the Multiple Births Association was how I met other triplet
That's
mums.
good.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of other twin mums, so that was
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
I've actually got a close friend who's got twins. And I know a few twin mums, and they're
That's
all
good.
so positive.
Great.
Yeah. Thank God.
What are good kind of
Yes.
responses that you liked when what were some of the responses that you enjoyed hearing when people found out?
Just lovely positive experiences from other multiple
From
mums.
others.
Yeah.
Of how amazing it is
Yes.
and the bond your children
Yes.
will have.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That was incredible.
Yeah, and like so many twin mums would send me videos of like their twins like laughing together.
Yes.
Oh,
Like,
that's so
and
nice.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
it's
This is
gonna be
so
okay.
special.
Yeah.
It is
Yes.
scary, but it's such a special thing. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
Great.
God,
bond,
there's
the
nothing
bond
better.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But unfortunately, the negative comments didn't stop after my
Oh, no, they're
pregnancy.
still going.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
100%.
Random people will, it's less common for me now because my kids are 8 and 10. So it just looks
Mm.
like I've got a pack of children wherever
Yeah.
I go. But yours would still be in a
Oh
pram.
my god,
And
it's
random
so
people
annoying.
will walk up to you, don't know you, and just start up a
I know.
conversation to say something negative.
Like
to you.
how do
It's
you?
literally like public property.
Yeah.
Because you've got multiples. It's crazy.
One lady walked up to me in the middle of a shopping centre. I was chatting to a friend and interrupted our conversation to say, "Are those triplets?" And I was like, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, that's my worst nightmare."
Yeah, all the time.
And then walked away from me, and I was
Yeah.
looking at my
That's
friend going,
shocking.
actually, people
Mm.
say that.
"Yeah, all the time."
I feel like
all the time.
I feel like maybe I'd say like, wow, you're amazing. Like you've
Those
got
are nice
3 or
ones.
Yeah.
you've got 2. Like I'm always like, how do you
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah.
Like, I look up to you guys, you know, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'd say.
No, you
it's
get
so
negative
horrible.
all the time.
I'm so
when they
shocked
were
by that.
newborns, like it was awful.
Yeah.
Because I walked all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
weird. And so
Yeah.
people would stop me, like I hadn't slept, and then just
Ugh.
like, oh, are they twins? And then like the randomest comments like, oh, you must have IVF, you must have a cesarean, like
must
are
have
you
a
breastfeeding?
TV.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Are they like older people
Oh.
saying
Oh.
this? Like older generation or
oh,
it's younger?
everyone.
Everyone.
So shocking.
That's
No
yeah. I'm
limitations.
shocked by
I
that.
feel like
No,
especially if
it's-
you're a mum yourself, you would think twice about what
Yeah.
you're going to say because you know how fragile you are. You know.
No.
No.
And people will
It's like
engage
everyone.
you, won't they? You'll be just minding your own business.
Yeah.
You won't
Yeah,
start
you're
a
not-
conversation.
yeah.
I definitely wasn't
And they
starting
will-
conversations.
So then I used to get really hurt by it, but then I got to the point where of you engaging with me, you're just gonna have to cop whatever mood
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
in,
agreed.
Yeah.
and you're just gonna have to
Yeah.
take whatever.
Have you
I
ever
work with.
hit
I
someone
like
up about when they say
Oh,
a
yes.
negative comment?
Yeah.
What's a good thing to say? About?
The one that I remember, and I'll be so proud of, is
Yeah.
one of the fertility ones. Was in a busy IGA, and it was like the lady in front of me and the cashier asking me about my fertility treatment, and I just turned around and said, "No, I had sex 3 times in one night," and walked out the shop because I was just like, "No, I can't
Amazing.
take this
Brilliant.
anymore."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
walked out and just left them.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
goodness.
This is too much.
Mm.
You have
It's
3
too
little babies or
much.
2 babies. You're like, I just can't.
And
just
like
talk
in
about
those early days, like you're running off nothing.
Yeah.
Like, the mental
Yeah.
health is like
hanging by a thread.
yeah,
Absolutely
and then you've got
fragile.
These random saying weird comments to you.
You are
I'm
so
like,
vulnerable. That's
leave me
not.
alone.
I would not
That's
be a good
bad.
multiple mum. I reckon I'd be barking at these people.
Oh, you do get to a
I
point
just
where
walk
you do.
away.
You're
Yeah.
better than me.
Yeah.
I just it's
You're
unbelievable.
like,
Yeah.
I'm too tired to respond.
Yeah, totally.
Just
I'm
gonna
just
walk away.
who are you?
Oh my gosh.
And how are your pregnancies? Like, how is the physical and mental toll in your
Um,
pregnancy?
Well, I was living in Sydney,
Yeah.
and when I found out,
Yeah.
I had no help there because I'm from Perth,
Yeah.
and my partner's from Adelaide.
Okay.
So I was like incredibly anxious. I was
Yeah.
like, we have something that needs to change. Like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to change our whole life. We loved our life in Sydney.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the most stressful thing.
Yeah.
Knowing that we had to, yeah.
You
Pack
came back
up
here
and-
for more help?
Yes.
Yes.
We need help.
And what
Yeah.
about
I need a lot.
what
Yeah.
about your body? Like the stresses of, you know, having
I was really tired,
Mm.
but I was okay. I feel like I got off easy.
Yeah.
Did you get really big?
I was huge and yeah, but I kept training till like 29 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I was still boxing.
Good on you.
People must have thought I was such a freak. I was like huge. But yeah, towards the end, like I could barely move.
Yeah.
Like I think I was okay up until about I don't know, 30 weeks.
Yeah.
And then
You sort of just had to
Yeah.
slow right down.
slow down
Yeah.
and just
Were you back in Perth by that point?
I flew back at 30 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I remember
And
seeing
then-
photos of you at the beach with this big
Oh my
belly.
god. And then it was just like hard to get up. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back at photos, I'm like, is that even me? Like,
Yeah, wild.
wild.
How about you, Taryn?
Mine was a little bit more medical.
Yeah.
Even though my babies were spontaneous, having identicals, we needed a lot more monitoring.
Right.
Why is that?
My boys shared a placenta, and at
Right.
12 weeks we were diagnosed with twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. So where one of my sons was taking more of the blood flow and amniotic fluid from his brother.
Oh.
So we were touch and go for a while there. So I was
Yeah.
monitored quite closely.
Yeah.
And because it was triplets, it was a little bit more complicated. Sometimes they can go in and do a in utero operation and cut the placenta.
Oh, wow.
But for me, because my daughter was anterior, they couldn't go in because the boys were posterior. So we would risk losing them. So it was touch and go till 24 weeks.
Wow.
And if anything was going to have to happen, they were going to have to go in and just cut one of my son's umbilical cords and let him pass away.
Oh,
So we
my
had
God.
that hanging
Oh my
over our
God.
head until 24 weeks.
Whoa.
But you also read the statistics, and just with my pregnancy, I think it was like a 60% chance that I'd miscarried one before 12 weeks. So every time we went for another scan, we still had all our
You're
babies
bracing
there.
yourself.
But you know, you have that first scan and you fall in love with all those little heartbeats.
Yeah.
And I did
100%.
everything to try keep them.
So what happened after 24 weeks?
Well, I had an incredible obstetrician, and as soon as I walked into my 24-week scan, she was like, "We've made it to 24 weeks. We're good now."
right.
But I was still scanned
Yeah.
every week till 33 and 4 was
You
when
made it
it
to
was
it,
made
yeah.
the decision to
Oh,
have
wow.
a cesarean section and get them all out safely.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Gosh.
it was both. It was quite physically taxing, but
Yeah.
emotionally.
And you had a 16-month-old as well.
But luckily, my mum was a huge help during my pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was running after the toddler.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I was that mum with my toddler on a leash because I couldn't
Yeah.
physically run
Yeah.
after her. But
Yeah.
yes,
Fair enough.
I went from someone running 5Ks the day I found out I was pregnant to barely being able to walk 10 meters without my heart rate being over 100.
Oh my
resting heart rate.
goodness.
Wow.
Yes. So it took
Wow.
quite a toll on
Oh,
my
yeah.
Triplets and twins are generally sometimes high risk. Were you both high risk?
I was.
I was high
definitely.
risk, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that go?
Luckily for me, my body itself wasn't high risk. I'd had a successful pregnancy before, so they weren't too worried about my cervix or my blood pressure, and that all stayed stable, but it was more just the three
The
babies.
triplets.
In the end, we ended up having to have a cesarean section because our fraternal triplet, the blood flow in our umbilical cord started to change.
Yeah.
So we were constantly
Yeah.
monitored for the babies there. Had a couple of scares along the way,
Gosh.
have some preterm labour, but
Oh my God.
we got to where we wanted to get
That's
to.
an amazing gestation
Yeah.
for triplets,
Yeah.
isn't
Very
it?
happy, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well done. Oh my God. Yeah, I was okay. You just have to have a lot more appointments. Like towards the end of my pregnancy, I think I was going in like every 2 weeks, and then the very end, like twice a week.
Wow, yeah.
And is that
VIP.
all multiple pregnancies, like all twins are high risk? or-
Yes, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We'll look at each other.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
How many weeks were you when you had the babies?
36 and 1.
Oh, that's good as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, you guys did well.
Yeah, really
I
well.
was so stoked.
How was the birth?
Yeah. Talk us through both birth
You-
stories
you
in
go.
detail. I want to know everything.
Okay.
I had a spontaneous, unmedicated vaginal delivery with my first, so
Yeah.
I had that experience. And I was a little bit nervous for the cesarean section, but because it wasn't an emergency, it was planned. I went in, my obstetrician was amazing. She lowered the drapes. I watched my babies being born.
Wow.
Even though there were 21 people in the room and they were whisked straight off to NICU, I got a very gentle, calm delivery of what I wanted. So
Wow.
I couldn't have been happier.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That is amazing.
Okay, so the last 2 weeks, I think, of my pregnancy, twin A had stopped growing. So I was being monitored every couple of days. And then they said they were going to induce me because, he was going to be safer out than in.
Mm-hmm.
So not a cesarean section.
No, I didn't actually.
Amazing.
Thanks. So I got induced went in on a Sunday night, got induced at like 7 a.m. in the morning, and then had an epidural, and then, waiting around, same old, and then I started pushing at about 2:30, and I didn't know what I was having. So,
Oh, you kept us surprised.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had
so
no idea.
exciting.
Love that.
Started pushing at 2:30. Banjo came out at 2:50. So you held him up and was like, "What is he, boy?" And then I held him on my chest for I think it was about 5 minutes, maybe. And then they're like, "All right, well, you gotta go again." I've just had a baby. I'm gonna go again. So started pushing again, and then
After about 5 minutes?
after about
So
5 minutes.
They
I
took
think.
banjo?
They took
Or
banjo.
did he stay in your chest?
Sorry, so they took banjo, gave him to Liam,
Yeah.
which was like the weirdest thing because the whole time I was pushing twin B, Pearl, I
You
was
were
like
watching-
looking at banjo, being like, "Is he okay? Is he
Yeah.
okay?" And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
"Focus."
Yeah.
So I was like, it was weird.
That's your like introduction to being a mother of
Yeah.
multiples. You're like constantly
Yeah.
worried
Oh,
one or the
that is
other.
my
Yeah.
life. Yeah, worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like looking at banjo pushing, and then Pearl came out in about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it rare, like a bit more rare to have multiples naturally? Like, did you have to, vaginal birth, did you have to discuss that with your OB? Or,
I was adamant that I really wanted to have them
yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
And was your OB pushing for a cesarean section, or how did that work?
Yeah, kind of, but I was just determined.
What are the risks with having a vagina birth with multiples?
I put on my women's health physio.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go for it.
So, of course, prematurity of the babies. If they are too small, it can be not safe for them to have a vaginal delivery, so a cesarean section is better for them. But if you get past a certain gestation, if twin A or triplet A is head down, then it's fine. If they are transverse or breech, like with any other delivery, it's not as safe. It doesn't really matter what the other multiples are in position-wise.
As long as the
It's almost
first.
Yeah,
one.
the first
As long as
one,
the first one, because they're going to pave the way, and you can then deliver breech second
Yeah.
or third.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fine. Because the doctors are then quite convinced that you can deliver the head,
Because-
which is the biggest part. Yes. Of course, there are other risks because there are multiples. And for me, my second boy, who was triplet B, had a knot in his cord. So things start getting a little complicated there. It's just that second entity.
Yeah.
But yes, I didn't want to have a vaginal delivery for the first one and then get whisked in for a
Yeah.
cesarean section.
I mean, they kept warning me that it was very likely.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to try.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just see how we go.
Yeah.
Wow. And are they both down?
Yes.
They were both head down.
But once twin A comes out, like twin B thinks it's a party because all of a sudden there's all this
So
room,
much
so they
space.
spin. So it doesn't really matter what
Yeah.
Do
twin
they
B.
come out a lot easier because it's all opened
I
up?
don't feel like it was any easier.
Still got to push just as
Yeah.
Had the epidural worn off by then? Or
It did wear off a little bit at one point.
the second?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. But yeah, they did warn me like the whole way, like it's very likely you're gonna have a cesarean. That's why I had the epidural because then I
We're prepped
I was
to
prepped.
go to theatre,
'cause
yeah.
I didn't want to have to go under.
Yeah.
And then miss.
Did you have to deliver in theatre?
No.
Oh, that's
I was
good.
in a normal
Yeah.
labour ward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And did your bubs went to NICU? How about yours, Hayley?
They were with me the first night,
Yeah.
and then Badger had to go to the nursery the next day, and I had Pearl with me, which was so weird because I was like, if I had to go downstairs, I'd leave Pearl, but then I was like leaving.
Like you
my
had a
own
missing
thing.
limb.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, and how long were yours in NICU?
My guys went into NICU and they were in NICU for 6 days.
Oh, that's
So Ewan, the
That's so
firstborn, was the bigger of the identical twins. So he took most of the steroid injection.
yeah.
So he was fine. He could breathe by himself. I could hold him that day. But his little brother, being the donor twin,
Yeah.
he needed to be ventilated and have a little bit more medication.
Yeah.
So he was ventilated for 6 hours and then went on CPAP, a little breathing
Yeah.
device, for 3 days. And then Posey, who's my little girl, she was just on CPAP for 6 hours. So I could hold her then, I think the next day or the day after.
That's
Wow.
But
remarkable.
they were in NICU, but in 3 different nurseries at King Edward, and it's big, so none of them were next to each other.
Oh wow,
Which was hard.
That's crazy.
Oh, is that because all their different needs
The
were?
needs,
Yeah.
But luckily, when they were 6 days old, they moved to Kalia Hospital, which isn't there anymore. But that little nursery could only have 6 babies, so my babies took up half,
Oh my god.
which was nice because I got so much support from the midwives
Yeah.
there.
And how
that
long
was
were they
good.
there for?
They were there for 2 weeks and then they came home.
That's
They went
That
really
sounds
just short of 3
amazing.
weeks.
That's amazing
Yeah.
for triplets.
They
Yeah.
did very well.
Amazing.
Very well.
What-
Do you get to
what
stay
little
there or do you go
troopers?
home?
I stayed in hospital for my 4 or 5 days
Yeah.
after the C-section. Then I went home, but then I just went home because I had a 22-month-old at home.
Wow.
So I would, wanted to go home to be there for her as well.
Yeah.
Must have been
Yes.
hard leaving them at the hospital and
It
going
was.
home.
The midwives and the nurses that look after them are so unbelievable,
Yeah.
and they're very supportive, and you have their
Yeah.
direct line, you can call them
Yeah.
whenever. No, they were really supportive.
Yeah. I had a baby in NICU for a couple of weeks, and they make you feel comfortable
Oh, yes,
with
they
it,
do.
which is so
Yeah.
nice.
That's what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you did get home, how was your first week at home with your new babies?
Terrifying.
So the first night I had 3 45-minute naps. The first night they were home.
Yeah.
And it's like burned into me.
Oh
yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. Really bad.
Not going to sugarcoat it.
No,
Like,
you can't.
I hadn't had a baby before. So
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to look after one baby. And I had 2. And I was like,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, I had 8 months to
I feel
prepare
like
for
you need
this.
to take a nurse home with you.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
need to do that.
Well, they
Well,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, my mother-in-law offered to pay for a night
Night
nurse.
nurse.
Because she's in New Zealand, so she couldn't come and help. But I couldn't relinquish control.
Oh.
I couldn't let someone.
So you
look
didn't
after
have
me.
any night nurse help?
Nothing.
Wow.
My mum and dad would come during the day, during
So you
witching
could,
hours,
yeah.
so that we could
extra
kind of
hands.
get
Yeah.
through.
Mm.
But that was it. My husband had 1 week of work
Oh
while I was in
my
hospital with my
goodness,
C-section.
Taryn.
Then he went back to work for 2 weeks while they were in NICU, and then he had 2 weeks off when they came home, and that was it.
Oh.
Madness.
Wow.
So you had-
Hindsight,
yeah.
stupid. Yeah.
You had 4 under 2.
And my husband would get
At
up with the
home alone.
2-year-old. When she would wake up, she was a horrendous sleeper as well. And then he would just knock on the door when I was in with the triplets at 6 a.m. and be like, I'm going to work. And I'd be like, cool. She's, yeah.
How
toddler-
are you okay?
I'm not. All my friends would say she's not. My toddler ended up with a bit of a British accent because she watched so much Peppa Pig while I was attempting to breastfeed through
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
So were they on formula or just breastfed?
Exclusively breastfed till they were 3 months old, my guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I breastfed. But at first they were too small to latch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was pumping
Pumping.
like every 2 hours
That's
to get enough milk for 2 babies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a bad time. Just
So you guys made enough milk for 2 and 3 babies. Wow.
yeah, I breastfed till 6.5 months.
Wow.
You would be feeding the whole time.
Oh,
So one,
I literally never put a top on.
Yeah.
I was just, it was wow.
Yeah.
I barely left the house.
could you feed to it at the same time?
Yeah, I had a pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
the
feed
pillow.
3 babies at once.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. 1 baby on each boob, and the 3rd baby is being either burped or has a bottle, and
Yeah.
then you just rotate. So every baby got 1 each side and a bit of a bottle with each feed.
Wow.
And until they were 7 weeks, that bottle was express breast milk that I had excess of when they were in NICU. And then it was a formula, and then it was mixed feeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I YouTubed that. I YouTubed
Yeah.
Triplet months breastfeeding and learned how to do it
Yeah.
from
I was
home.
about to say, I feel like there's a lot of information resource
Yeah.
now with
Yes.
social media
Mm-hmm.
of multiples. I've seen like videos of triplet mums on.
Yes.
Do you feel like 8 years ago there was as much information or as many
Yeah.
tools available?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
But there were a few, and that
Yeah.
was enough.
Mm.
But I think it did, encourage me to go into the work I do because
Yes, right.
it was lacking 10 years ago
Yeah, wow.
for the support that women need now.
Yeah. So you weren't a women's physio before?
No,
women's
I was
health
just
physio
working
before?
at Fiona Stanley Hospital doing general physio.
Oh, wow.
And I've done my master's
Special-
since, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Superwoman.
Yeah.
Survival, madness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think even the difference between my first and second, and they're only 2 years apart, just like the hands-free breast pumps and the way that
Yes.
technology has
yeah,
come along
totally.
in a couple of years, it's great.
So
But I think, for you it must have been,
the best
really
invention
hard.
was bottle props,
yeah.
which I think a lot of people would frown at, but when you're trying to
Wait, what's
feed,
that? Oh my
oh,
goodness.
did you not get a bottle prop?
No.
Oh, amazing little things. They look like a bib that's puffed up with a scrunchie on it.
Oh yeah, I've seen
Yes,
that. Yeah, yeah.
and
I
you put the
didn't have
bottle,
that.
you put the bottle in, so then I could prop
It's hands-free.
hands-free, but then I could watch them and burp
Burp.
whoever needed to be burped.
Yeah.
I could supervise them all.
What, they sit up and feed themselves?
pretty much from it before they could hold a bottle.
Oh,
Wow.
When they can hold
Like
a bottle.
laying the pillow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's heaven now. They can hold it.
The bottle. Oh, game
Oh my
changer.
god.
Game changer.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are here.
We're just like in shock.
I know. In total awe.
Amazing. Would you have any advice for other multiple mums who are pregnant?
Pay for help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
In
that
like
was
My
something you
biggest
wish
thing,
you'd...
I wish I did. Stupid what my
Yeah.
husband and I put ourselves through and what we expected my family to help with.
Yeah.
In like
Yeah.
the first few months or
First 3 years. Yeah, pay for help.
Yeah.
Because if you're paying someone for help, they can come in and you can ask them exactly what
Yeah.
you don't have to
you
feel
want.
guilty or
It
bad.
Totally.
takes that
You're
element
paying them
of
to
guilt.
do something, so
Yes. Yeah. When mine were 2, I got a little nanny who'd help me one afternoon a week. best thing ever.
Yeah, game
Yeah.
changer.
Game
I think
changer.
it's
Wow,
helped you
till
fold a
2.
load of washing after the dinner.
I'm
It
sure.
helped me the afternoon before I would go then to work for 2 days. So I needed a nanny to help me prepare to be able to
Yeah.
actually just go back to work.
And work would have felt like such a holiday.
Yes, yeah. I did.
Oh, it's the best.
Work is
Yeah.
a holiday.
Oh, yeah, it works.
Yeah,
Best
driving
holiday
to work
ever.
is a holiday.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm being alone.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh. And do you have any advice too?
Yes, just like schedule everything.
Yeah.
It's like if you knew me, well, you knew me before kids. Like the least scheduled person, wing everything, don't prepare. But I'm like drill sergeant now.
Yeah, you have
like,
to be.
You have to be to survive. Like
Yeah.
they have to stay on the same schedule, or like shit hits the fan.
With like sleeping?
Sleeping, feeding,
Yeah.
absolutely. Everything.
Yeah.
Like they have to be the same.
Mhm.
Like the days that they do go off schedule is hell
Mhm.
because you don't get a
And it's
break.
not worth it, is it?
No, it's
yeah.
no way.
No.
Like having fun's not worth it anymore.
So do you do the I've read like when one twin would wake in the night or triplet, you'd wake the other ones to feed at the same time? Is that what
It sounds really mean, but you have
You
to.
have to.
because otherwise
So they're in the
Otherwise
same
you don't
routine
sleep.
together. So they're on the same
Yeah.
cycle.
yeah. So the first one you wakes up, you feed first, and you wake up second and third
Oh.
for you.
And once they're holding a bottle or a bottle prop, it was like, put it in your mouth.
Well,
Next
when
one,
I was
next one.
breastfeeding, I would tandem breastfeed
Mhm.
and then put them back.
Yeah.
Because, some nights I did it, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired, I'll just quickly breastfeed mine, put them back, what
What
go
would
wrong?
happen
And then you don't sleep because then they're,
the next
They're
one?
cycle.
then they're on
Yeah.
different feeds.
Yes.
So they're like,
Are they
Yeah,
not
that's
waking
like-
each other up from crying?
Mine never did.
not really, not in the early days.
Did they sleep in the same cot?
Really?
Mine didn't.
Don't tell the SIDS nurses. Yes, I had 3, like a normal cot,
Yeah,
but
with 3
horizontally
across.
with 3 across.
Wow.
Until they got too big, then 2 were in that cot and 1 in another, and then eventually
3 cots.
3 cots.
Yeah.
Wow.
In the
My
same room? Yeah.
Mine were in separate bassinets.
In the same
in
room.
my room.
Yeah.
And now they're in their own cots in the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cute.
The
So they
bond
do-
must be amazing.
Yeah, they do wake each other up if they cry, but that's fine because like
You
they have to
need-
wake up anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just
Yeah.
become on the same cycle then.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It must be
No, no.
fascinating to watch their bonds
It's-
as
yeah.
they get
Yeah.
older as well.
Yeah.
But it's all they've known. It's so
I know.
special.
So
Yes.
mine only separated for the first time during the week because Banjo was really sick. He had to go to the out of hours doctor,
Yeah.
and my partner took him, and I stayed at home with Pearl. And it was the first time that we had separated as a
Oh my
gang.
gosh.
And the whole time she was looking at me like, where is he?
The other one.
Oh,
It was so cute. And then it was her bedtime, so I put her to bed, and she was just standing up, like looking at his cot, like.
Oh my
Where's
gosh,
he
that is the sweetest thing.
I know.
Wow.
Are yours best friends now?
No, we're going through I hate everyone
Oh.
phase, and
Oh.
they're just at that age where they desperately want just mummy time or just daddy
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
or to be apart. It does change the dynamic because we've got an older daughter.
Yeah.
But the boys are very close. But like even this morning, getting ready for school, they were ready in time so they could get their treat of being on their pads for 10 minutes before. And instead of going anywhere in the house, they had a choice of like 3 or 4 couches. All 3 of them sat on the one couch in the hallway, uncomfortably, all touching each other. All 3 of them.
Aww.
They could have gone anywhere in the whole house,
Oh, that's
but they
cute.
have to sit touching each other.
are they used to
Oh.
sleeping like that?
And you see like that, being with each other, yeah, constant
Oh.
touching each other, yeah.
Are they in the same classes at school?
No, 3 different ways.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
On
That's
purpose?
worked out.
On purpose.
Yeah. Yes.
Same school.
3 different classes.
Have we
Yeah.
addressed the ages of your children now?
My triplets are
8,
8,
yeah.
and my eldest is 10.
Yeah.
Mine are 10 months.
10 months.
Still
Very
so
different.
little.
Yes.
So little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in survival mode still.
I am
Yeah.
in the trenches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm at a real sweet spot at the moment. Like it's
Yeah.
just getting a lot easier.
Oh.
I know it's, you don't need,
Oh,
I know
no.
it's going to get
It's just
harder.
going to change.
But
Yeah.
at the moment, I'm like in this like blissful.
No,
Yeah.
not
Well, enjoy every
Yeah.
good moment.
You know,
I had so many friends saying you're not going to be able to cope that I was like, no, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep on tracking.
You
and
also
keep
have
going.
no choice. Like, you could fall on a heap.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did probably some days.
Oh, yeah,
But
lots of days.
there's no choice. You have to keep them going. They're
Literally.
your babies.
Wow.
Like,
Yes.
it's your life.
Yeah.
everyone's like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't.
You
have
just
to
do.
it.
Yeah.
I'm forced into this.
Yes.
Exactly.
What's been the toughest time that you've had with your twins and triplets?
You go first.
Okay, breastfeeding was just
Yeah.
crazy. I think definitely the toughest is like as a mum having to choose between your babies when they're both crying.
Yeah.
They're both hungry, and it's just like,
Which one do you pick up first?
well, yeah, whoever's crying the loudest. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just it's always choosing between them and like not getting any alone time. Like even if you are having a nice cuddle with one of the babies, like the other one's like just sitting there looking like, what about me?
Yeah.
You know, so that is
The
tough.
guilt.
And is
Yeah,
that
a lot of guilt. Yeah, all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because like I'm so busy, I'm like I never like sit down and actually enjoy.
You
know,
want
them.
one.
Yeah, with one or even both of them.
There's always something else to do.
Yeah, I feel like their first word's going to be like, wait a minute, please, because that's all I say. Wait a minute, wait, please.
What about for you, Taryn?
Oh, I found I was better at doing the physical stuff when they were little, like the breastfeeding and the just getting on and doing something. Now I'm struggling with the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
Probably because, you know, struggling with my own emotions. Who
Yeah.
knows? And we're going through it really hard with my eldest and going down the ADHD diagnosis and anxiety and stuff. That has been really challenging for me. Dealing with someone else. And also parenting a small version of yourself. Now that I'm seeing her personality and emotions come out, she's just a small version of me. And
My daughter's the same.
Yeah.
It's quite confronting.
It's very triggering and very confronting. And I'm struggling with that the most.
Yeah. And what about your most adored memories of raising the babies?
Oh, so many.
I mean, just knowing that they're never going to be lonely.
Yeah.
And that they're never scared. Like they've got each other. You know?
So sweet.
It's amazing. You can't
Comforting.
beat that.
So sweet.
They do, and they have each other's back. And I hear it at school, like a teacher will come up to me and go, oh, one of my children was upset, but their other sibling from another class or another year came out, sought them out, made sure they were okay, took them to the teacher. And it's just nice to know.
Know that they've got
They're
that.
all looking after each other.
Even at home, hate each other. But out in the world, they're a little team.
Yeah.
Oh, and yours are still so little that they are like, you know, they just have each other. Their world is so small.
I know.
I feel like I should stop complaining about one.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And that's what I have clients that come to me all the time and they're like, oh, I shouldn't complain. But I think everyone's journey is so different. And I think probably what we've learned the most is people coming up and commenting. We don't know what journey they're going on, what you're going on. Don't go up and comment.
No, that's a reflection
how
on them,
someone
not
it
you.
is. But don't go up and comment because everyone's just doing it their own way.
So